So, thank you very much for waiting. I will also give my best to do this in English. Will be a very short presentation. It's more about to inform you guys that we will working on the topic of event handling in Elias in the next weeks, and we'll come with some concrete proposals how to make event handling in Elias in a modern way. Elias already has a current state concerning event handling. This thing is quite old. I did not get the info how old, but it's very old. You can see that in the code, but it's there for years and many versions. And this was implemented in a time, yeah, where Elias used some other mechanisms to communicate between components and so on. And I think now it's time that we push this whole service to a new level, because yeah, event handling is quite useful for many use cases, and it would be great if we can tackle some things the old implementation has and make it better, make it faster, and have an event system which can be named as an event system. The current state, you can see a snippet here, how this is used currently. We have this global service locator, not even service locator, it's a global itself, which many of the components call directly, where they raise events, and they have some kind of namespace where they are raising from. This snippet here is from the tracking service, learning progress. It gives the event a name and then some data. It's an array of data this event pushes to the outside. And listeners on the other side, which are interested in some events, get this thing, this array with data. They have no idea what's inside this array because it's just an array. It can be anything. You have to have a lot of knowledge about the emitting component, this component which raises the event, what exactly they pack inside this one, because you want this data to trigger other things on your side when you receive the event. The documentation I found is from Elias 4.3. It's, as I said, already quite old, and this is work in progress. It's it's in this documentation still is the phrase, this is work in progress. Nothing happened since Elias 4.3, so we want to tackle this and make it a real event system. One of the main points I want to address is that currently listeners only can register for a whole component. They can define in the modules or service XML that they are interested in events from tracking. They cannot say they only are interested in update status from tracking. So they have to filter any other events they get from tracking because they only want this one. And that's not the way we should do that. And one of the biggest problems the current implementation has, a listener gets an event, example given this one, the update status. If this listener does something which breaks the system, which triggers an error, which triggers an exception, breaks the whole system. So listeners are able to cut the line and just stop the whole process because they doing something wrong. And that's not what events should be. An event emitter wants to emit an event, give it to the outside, and everything else doesn't, he's not interested in what happens then. But it must go on and not stop there inside one of the listeners. So there's a PSR. I will show you this one. It's the PSR 14 event dispatcher. So there is a well-defined description how we implement event systems in PHP to avoid that any project does some kinky stuff on the fancy stuff. It's well defined, and we want to implement this as well. You can see the link here. That's the PHP org which defines this PSR. And as I said, it's the common standard now how to implement an event system. And we want to have this in Ilias as well. So, and it's not about being fancy. It's way more boring than this. It's about contracts, and that's what I mean with this. The data an event has in it is currently completely unstructured with this array data. And we want to make this visible what exactly the event data is. So we will push objects instead of arrays in the future. And the contract is you exactly know what you get. If one listener gets an event, he knows exactly which data can be found inside this event. And that's what I mean with contracts between components. And we now have the mechanisms to do so. As I said, currently you have to register in this module XML. This gets parsed, this gets written inside the database or maybe an artifact now, but we have now mechanism to do so during build time. That was the presentation we made 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago about component provision. There are those mechanisms available that components can define their subjects, what they want to emit. They can define their events and how event data looks. And the coupling between components can be done with the same mechanisms we want to have for all other communication between components in Ilias. I think we will then deprecate the old system, but we have to implement some kind of rich proxy, which then serves the old events as usual as before. So not all components have to switch inside one release, but I do not like to have this longer than 2 releases. So I hope components will switch to the new mechanism in 2 releases. And after that, I would kill the old implementation. And then those old components won't get any events. And I also would like to deprecate and later remove the plugin slot the current event system has. You can write event plugins which get all events and filter them out and do things. The way with plugins is in general to replace them with custom components. We have now a lot of Ilias components, which is the Ilias core, but you are able to write own components, and this is the new equivalent for plugins. And whenever we remove a plugin slot, it should be possible to implement this as a custom component. So if we deprecate that, begin to refactor your event hook plugins towards a custom component, which should be quite easy. And then we can remove the slot as well. We will implement the base structure, but there will be some questions we would like to discuss in maybe a developer workshop or maybe only sure fix. Questions like, should there be stoppable events? That's a concept which this PSR as well defines. stoppable events means that a listener can stop the event and give it back to the emitter. It's a concept which you can implement if you want to. I don't think we would like to have this in Elias, but maybe there will be a discussion. And the other thing is, one use case for a new event system could be a notification system that a notification service listens to nearly all events and decides if there is anything I would like to notify a user about. That would be one use case with push notifications as an example. And we can make events as well async, that they don't interrupt the process. So an emitter just emits a lot of events, or there are a lot of events emitted, but they are not, the listeners don't work with them exactly in this moment. They get them maybe a little bit later. They are in a queue, or maybe we can discuss about if we want to spawn separate threads in PHP where this event handling then is done. These are open discussions. I don't think that would be the first version where we implement that as well. The general goals are, it has to be as lightweight as possible. It has to be as fast as possible. We don't want to slow down the system by using events. This is one point why we could use async events to not slow down the whole thing. It should be as flexible as possible. In the meaning of components must have the possibility to define their own events, their own event data. They have to have the possibility to register to certain events and so on. It must be a really flexible, good event handling system, and as precise as possible in the meaning of this contract. You know what you get, which data is contained, and so on. That are the main goals. And we will, as already said, start soon with the discussion. I think I will open a pull request first with the general structure, with the general ideas, and on top of that there will be discussion like async events, stoppable events, and so on. That's all from my side. Maybe you have questions.
There's a quick question you mentioned about deprecating and removing the events from the plugins. Would that be plugins in general, or first the dedicated event plugin slot? Because plugins can display events.
Yeah, that's a very special case in plugins. There is a dedicated slot, event book plugins. I want to deprecate this and remove this, of course, but all other type of plugins have the possibility to register to events as well, and raising events. Yeah, raising events already works. Yeah. We cannot remove that in the same place, because that would mean that all plugins cannot use events then, as long as they are not migrated to a component. So it would be the slot only.
All right.
Yeah.
What we've been talking about is about the event system within PHP and running in a web context, or maybe in a CLI context as well. What about when we think as a step further, like we have background tasks that need to be triggered, for example, because they are long running or something? Would you think it's compatible with a new way of handling events, or would you decouple it and handle it differently?
I would decouple it, of course. Decoupling is always a good idea. I don't think if it goes in the direction of this asynchronous things. And I would like, if we want async events, we need some kind of worker which a queue which works these events and emits them to the listeners. And we have several systems which do not exactly this, but something like this, like the background task. I think then we should go 2 steps back and have a look at all those things. Cron jobs are some kind of the same thing, doing things in parallel to the normal requests. So we have to think about a real queuing system which then can be used by events, by background tasks, and so on. But that's a bigger project.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Just an idea about this synchronous versus asynchronous question. Like spontaneously, I would suggest reversing it and deciding on the listener level whether the listener wants to be synchronous within the same request, or if it's okay for the listener to asynchronously, maybe as a default, all listeners, if they don't specify, like they would be asynchronously possibly, but I think it would be nice to be able to say, I want this listener to maybe, I don't know, have the promise to run within the same request, maybe at the end of the request, in order, I don't know, just for use some kind of user experience, maybe if you, I don't know.
That will be the question. Who decides if something is synchronously worked or asynchronously? It could be the event as well, not the listener. We have to think about who decides what has to be done just now and what can be done later. I'm not sure if the listener should decide this or the event or the emitter should decide this. But yeah, that will be the question. Thank you very, very much. Danke euch für die Zeit.